welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today, the man who is thoughts become things, neo-positivity. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
And our friend Debbie G is not joining us today, but she's got a really good reason for that today. Because Neo and I were both surprised and pleased to learn that she's engaged. She's engaged to be married, Neo. I mean, how about that? That is so cool.
That's amazing. I didn't even know, anything was in the works. So to hear that, I'm like, wow, that's that, manifesting at its height,
Well, it is in more than one way. And the reason I say that is I didn't know this was going to happen either. But about, I'm going to say 2 to 3 months ago, something like that, there was a Friday where you couldn't make it. It was just me and Debbie. And at the end of the show, we did like an after show kind of a talk that sometimes we do. And during that after talk, I was talking about some of the things that go on in Louise's and my relationship, and how I've really come to rely on her and she on me. And we've just had this really great relationship since we first met. And Debbie made an interesting comment. She says, I want a Louise. And I said, well, you can have a Louise. You just have to put it out there. And so she said, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put it out there. And what happens? She meets Joe Slaker, who is one of our listeners. He's also a Thai boot camper and a really good guy from everything that I know about him. I've been friended with him for a short time, so I don't know a whole lot about him, but he seems like a really good guy. And Debbie just got her wish. How cool is that?
I mean, it'd be really messed up if it wasn't him, but I get what you're saying.
How would I know who it was going to be? All I said was, apparently he matches Louise, is all I can tell you,
No, are you 100% that he's the one who proposed to her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, because if it's not him.
Oh, no. I know it's Joe. Yeah. In fact, I sent him congratulations, too.
Nice, dude. That's amazing. That is amazing.
And that's the first time in a while where I've known both sides of the couple. That's pretty cool.
Manifesting marriage is one of the most sought after things that people go for.
We've got 2 of them here on the show. I don't know if you know that Thursday, Alex King, she's engaged and she's going to be married 2 weeks from today.
Nice.
And Louise and I are going to the wedding. Yeah,
it's in the air. Did you get a chance to hear when Debbie's going to do hers?
I don't know. I suspect they probably haven't even figured it out yet because the engagement happened last night.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's brand new, and of course she and he are off celebrating and just enjoying the fact that they're now getting hundreds and hundreds of likes and loves from their friends and so forth on social media. And if there's anybody who really deserves it, it's Debbie. Let's be honest. She has been through a trip and a half in the last 10 years of her life or so, and this is a wonderful culmination for her. So
yeah,
mucho congratulations going out to Debbie.
She earned it.
She did.
Definitely
she really did. And that's not the only news we got going on, because you got some news too. Talk about what's going on with you.
Oh man, it's I wanted to post this link for everybody. The craziest thing happened. We were talking about I think last week we were talking about my neighbor across the street and me seeing him as not even knowing who I was, where I should be seeing him as a fan at the very least. So fast forward, in this conference I'm going to be in next week, this competition, Smiles at Sea is holding a competition called Dentistry's Got Talent. And I'm going to be in this competition. And there was my dog barking. But anyway, out of all of the speakers, because there's 50 of us, out of all the speakers, the speaker that brings in the most signups gets an iPad. And me falling into old me behaviors, like my neighbor across the street with the window doesn't even know I exist. I kind of like X that out of my realm, because I'm like, it's hard enough trying to get people to sign up for the summit, let alone something involving that has dentistry in the title. I don't know any like dentistry type people except for this crew that I've been seeing with this year.
And never mind that it's as easy to manifest a button as it is a castle. We always forget that part. It just seems like the button is darn easy.
So next thing you know, so the competition, I already have an iPad. I got a couple of them. So I don't need an iPad. So the speaker who has the most people that sign up to see them speak gets an iPad. I already have iPads, and it's hard enough trying to get people to sign up for the summit, let alone something else. So with those two things being the foundation of every thought that I have
Mhm.
about this subject. I had to switch it up. And so, and it only took once. It was just one time. I was like, no, don't be like that. We were just talking about this last week. Don't be like that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I ran a beautiful scenario, and no lie, the next day I get a phone call, a text message, and a picture saying basically that I should start to promote it more, get more signups. And I'm like, well, of course they're going to do that. They want more signups.
Well, of course, yes.
The convention wants more signups. Of course they're going to send it to everybody. But then they say, yeah, just make a real final push for the end. I'm like, yeah, that's what you're saying to everybody. That's what I would do. You
of course, yes. Right.
Then it says I'm in second place.
Ooh.
They said, yeah, so they're like, yo, you really need to make a push. If you and I'm like, and you know what? It was a beautiful thing. It lit a fire underneath me. And I've been on cloud nine ever since, because the prospect of what the next 30 to 60 day holds is just insane. So the link, I'll post it up in here somewhere in a second in the chats.
I'll put it up as a banner too, so anybody watching the video can see it.
Yeah, because I still have to find it.
Well, I'll put it in the chat. I think I have it on my clipboard. Let me see if I got it here. I can put it into the chat. Yeah, here we go.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, no, because it's on my phone everywhere. And so now I'm like, how do I get off my computer? So I just sent it to Debbie in Facebook chat. So I'm like, all right, let me get over there and grab it. Technology.
And of course, podcast listeners can't see all this. So if you want to just enter the address, it's smilesatclive.com/Neil Positivity.
Ooh, yeah. Just go there. You don't even got to come. I want you to come, but you don't even got to show up. Just sign up, get the sign.
There's a man who doesn't need the iPad, but wants it anyway.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking about giving the iPad away somewhere on one of the Summits channel, and just, name them like a sponsor of that. And so I was thinking about how many people do different shares or likes, or how do you add all that up? Once I figure out a way to calculate that across the board everywhere and actually come up with a winner, that's actually what I want to do with it.
Very cool.
So that's
very cool.
That'll be 2 weeks from now, because I'll be there next week and the week after that, and then I'll be back after that. So, and it's gonna be insane. 4-story yacht, DJ on each floor, me trying to keep enough battery to live stream as much of it as I can. That is exactly what's going to be happening. Not this Sunday right here, but next Sunday. Right in my
let's talk exactly about what is this thing. I mean, we said what the URL is, smilesatclive.com/Neil Positivity. But what is this about?
It is basically, I didn't know this. I'll give you a quick rundown. Look, my alarm for this is going off again. So basically, in order to be a doctor or dentist or whatever kind of doctor, you need to get these CEs, continued education courses. You need 50 credits a year.
Right.
And so what my boy Elijah Desmond did was he put all the basically instructors in one cruise ship and made a cruise for everybody, all the dentists to come. And just so during the daytime, I'm turning all this damn noise. During the daytime, yeah, it's like everybody wants to call me now. All of a sudden, I hit play or stream.
Well, actually, they're all calling because you're in the vibrational space of wanting to get more and more people to sign up, and so now all of a sudden people are contacting you.
Sign up. So yeah, he puts all these instructors on a cruise. He brings all the dentists and their family on a cruise, and you take your classes during the day, and every night he has some kind of party. Black tie, poker night, a whitening ball. There's a pool party, and the last day is the yacht. It's a 4-story yacht. And so during this, while they're, one of the things that they have comedy shows, all kind of stuff. It's literally like a summer camp for grownups. You leave there with that memory, that if you've ever been to camp or anything, you know what I'm talking about. Experiences you'll never forget. So that's how Elijah likes to set it up. And since COVID, they started doing them on land because of boats and whatever. So this one, the last one I went to in April and I spoke at, and this one is last one was in Miami. This one's going to be in Hollywood, and during there they have competitions. They have Dental Tank, which is like Shark Tank. They got Dentistry's Got Talent, which is what I'm going to be in. It's just a bunch of people telling stories. Nobody like juggling and stuff like that. It's just, and so that's the competition, that I'm going to be in. And it's just going to be dope because it's going to be me sitting down with 50 or 60 different sponsors and just sitting in front of them with this shirt, talking to them about the law of attraction, and then seeing where their mind goes, where we could take this next. And, it's just going to be a dope thing.
That's fun. When you do something like that, particularly if it's a live audience, that's fun.
Yes. And last year they had 68,000 people watching live in the room. It's it's the whole bottom of a hotel, kind of. So it's like the room is packed with people. There's cameras everywhere. It's insane. But it's, to somebody who's like me, I just feel comfortable up there. So it's just like, yo, I can't wait. Like people are like, I want more time. I'm like, yo, I wish this was tomorrow. I wish I went on stage either tonight, like in the next 5 minutes. Like that's how I live off of, this.
Well, it's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, it's a lot of things, man. But I'm ready to go. I'm doing a 10-minute speech on the 14th at 2:30.
Okay.
That's the first round. The finals is going to be a 5-minute speech. And then they're going to announce the winner. And they got this big belt, like real heavyweight title belt. And it's a real belt. It's
really
$1,000 belts. Maybe even more, I think. Like good material, heavy. So, yeah, they give one out every year. And whoever wins it comes back and hosts it the next year. So the guy, Jeff Boosky, he was, I believe you met Jeff. You guys spoke at one of the summits together. Right after the last one, the last convention they had, dental convention, was in April, and then I had my summit. I had all the top dentists from there were all at my summit that month.
Right.
And, Jeff was there. He's one of the guys. He's who won the competition last year, so he's going to be hosting it this year. So it's going to be an awesome time. Beautiful. An awesome time full of opportunities and stuff I've never done before. So let's go.
This is the month for big summits too, isn't it?
I think so. I mean,
I know Selena Dorsey Valentine's got hers coming up at the end of October.
Yeah. I think that's going to start November 1st.
Oh, is it? I thought it was the last few days of October, but okay.
It could be. I know she was playing with the idea, but last time I spoke with her, it seemed like she was going to air it, like because it's pre-recorded.
Right.
She was going to be recording the last week of October and airing it the 1st through the 5th or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I didn't waste any time. I got the invite, so I've already signed up for my pre-recording session with her. So that's gonna be cool.
Nice, yeah. As soon as I got mine, I did that, knocked that out, and then my summit is gonna be November 20th, and I got always upgrading the cast, always upgrading the lineup. That's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be on Zoom. Hopefully, it'll be funded by. Hopefully it'll be something special, something big, something crazy. That's what
I can feel it happening. I can feel that vibration.
I don't know where it's going to take me. But I know I'm going to end up in a series of meetings that end up with an all-star cast, an all-star lineup with all-star equipment and all-star energy. And it's just going to be everything that I always wanted this summit to be,
That is a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. You were talking a moment ago about how easy it is for getting into that mind space where you start doubting, I can't get that. That's too far out of reach. It's too big. I got to keep my dreams small and so forth. And then you stop yourself, which of course a real master does, stops himself, says, no. Turn this vibration around right now. And you did. You took the steps and you're already seeing some of the results out of that. I had a similar experience this week. I've been in a kind of an uncomfortable space lately. Listeners know that I've got this project going on, creating this new thing for Facebook groups. And I hired a developer. This is like the third developer that I hired. But this guy is better than the others for sure. And he's in the middle of creating what they call an SaaS website, a software as a service website, that basically takes what we created as a proof of concept through the earlier developers and takes it to a space where it becomes like what would be something that people would recognize. Anybody who does business marketing maybe knows what a Hootsuite is. Hootsuite would be an
Yeah,
example of
yeah,
that.
I used to use them. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are a lot of them out there like that. Well, that's what this is going to be as well. And as I'm waiting for him to do his stuff, and he's making progress, he gives me regular reports and so forth. I also have somebody else I've hired to start building up the content creation that helps bring the audience in for this thing. And she's now she's been working for like 2 weeks on it now, so she's starting to do her stuff. And I'm in a space where I talked about just the other day, what do I do next? And I started to freak out about that because I'm a doer. So many of us are doers in life, right? Particularly if we come to the law of attraction later on, we just had a whole lifetime where we just felt like we had to do everything in order to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden there was nothing to do, and I started to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I should be doing something, right? It took me a while to really shake loose from that and say, no, I don't have to do anything. This is a time to be. And immediately the other part of my brain was saying, no, it's not. Come on, get up, go to work, do something.
Yep, there it is. Right back in action.
That's right. Yeah. And I had to keep calm. I'm still working on it. I've got it fairly calm now, but it just wants to keep cropping up and saying, oh, you should be sitting there. There's things to be done. Come on. And I turn to it and I say, there's nothing to be done. We have to wait.
Yo,
I'm not a waiter. Come on. You got to do something right now.
You make me think of like the cartoons or whatever, where the devil and the angel up on their shoulders, but the angel is not there.
That's right.
It's just
the devil guy.
Annoying beating voice, and then it's you being the angel. Like stop,
right.
Stop. I'm just like, give me a couple minutes.
Being your own angel.
So now I just picture it's just there, just by itself. I mean, like doing like this, hey, and there's like every time someone says something to me, or every time I say something to myself, it's immediately tapping me. Hey, sharing its opinion on what information just came to me, and it's like, yo, come on.
Well, I'm also trying to remember too, because I've had a number of co-hosts and guests on the show remind me of this idea, and I've been trying to apply it. The idea that we're calling it the devil figure, but it's really not. It's the self trying to protect me. That's in the way that it has always protected me. It's the ego.
Doing its job,
It's just doing its job, and so I'm trying to remember to say thank you, ego.
You can't hate on it. You can't hate on it. It's doing it. Think about it like this. I said this before. It will also do its job, vice versa.
Sure.
If you say there's not $1 million on the floor right in front of me, the ego's going to step in and say, "But there could be."
There could be.
So
I love that.
If it's just a reactive force that's kind of combating whatever thought we have, it's really our fault for hitting it with all those, the wrong thoughts.
Yeah. Beating it up. Beating ourselves up is what we're really doing when we do that.
Putting the onus back on us. That's completely our fault. That we can't even be mad at the ego. Let's use it. It's gonna do what it does because it's part of us. That's it. We're not gonna be able to change that. Let's use it to our advantage.
It's funny. I had a conversation. I got my hair cut this week, and I had a conversation with the barber while he was cutting my hair, and he made a comment to me about how what was it? Oh, it was about COVID and masks and so forth. He says, I wish everybody would just go get the vaccine. That way we wouldn't have to wear masks anymore. And without even thinking about it, I immediately responded, I don't think about that anymore. I just don't pay any attention to that. And he said, why? I said, because blaming doesn't help. And I found myself doing like this little soliloquy on why blame is totally useless and actually counterproductive in my life. And he was listening, and he was actually feeding into some of the things that I said and so forth. And I just kept coming back to it over and over again, saying, I have banned blame for my life. I have no interest in blaming anyone or anything, not even myself. I'm not interested in blame anymore, because all it does is come back and haunt me every time that I blame something, someone, me, whatever. And it really caught his attention.
If you want to throw this in there, because this is what got me around that hump, it's the oneness. For me to blame you is for me to blame me. That's pointless. Let's move.
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah.
And when I have to hit myself like that in the face for it to really stick, really make me let go. And that's been one of the greatest things that I've ever implemented. And it surprisingly easy to implement because it just makes sense. Just like, when you say, like, if I say I'm one, I'm one with God, and I'm like, I wouldn't do that to me. Like thinking about a certain future, a bad one, it's like, I wouldn't do that to me. So it's not even a possibility. And for me,
good.
I'll just, like, I swept that under the rug. Whereas if you're not using that technique, that might still ache. It might be after an affirmation that you say, but it still aches as soon as the affirmation's over. Whereas this is a way to completely, and that's how I try to do everything. I try to reprogram my brain so it's as easy as possible for it to do it on autopilot, so I can get on with being life.
And that is the skill, by the way. That's the skill. Anytime that anybody wants to do something to remove a block or be able to attract what they're looking to attract, or overcome a low vibe space that they're in, or whatever, that's really what they're trying to do. What you just described, they're trying to find a way to reprogram their minds. And you just described a really good way of doing it.
There's a bunch of ins and outs, and they all involve work.
To an extent.
The work no one wants to put in, and I've gotten increasingly good at repetition. And it was because I thanked the universe and God for, me being good at repetition. I used my cheat code. But I've gotten really good at remembering to do my affirmations and stuff like that. And it's different. I guess it's because it's if you were looking at every second of my day, the gaps in between me saying something extremely positive are way less.
Yes.
Therefore,
I know what you mean.
It stands out more. Like maybe like if you're looking at a ruler and you got the quarter inch that stands out more. It's like kind of like that. And it's just a different experience. It's a different way of being. But that's the work that I'm talking about.
Well, you know what happens, I think over time, as we do work of various kinds on ourselves, it has a cumulative effect. And that cumulative effect shows up as us just kind of by default falling into the places we want to be. Whereas the old default was to get into those negative mindsets, the mindsets that we didn't like, that we didn't feel good about. By doing the work, we end up in that better feeling mindset a lot more often. And it's like a momentum shift that's going on. The momentum used to be in a direction we didn't like. Now it's in a momentum direction that we're liking better and better over time. And sure enough, it shows up in our experience. So that, I've actually gotten to the point now where I don't even worry about whether I did affirmations today, because I have so much of my day where I am redirecting myself. It's almost kind of pointless to actually specify a particular time to do affirmations now, because I'm doing stuff throughout the day to get myself in the right alignment. So who cares if I didn't start the day that way? Now, there is benefit to starting your day with some sort of a positive, for sure. I just don't get all bent out of shape if I miss it on a particular day now.
Because, and you shouldn't.
Yeah, there's so many times during the day when I'm actually hitting it.
Plus that was what was meant to happen. What's the point in getting mad at that?
Right.
Like that's it. Just like, once again, that's like me. If I believe I'm one with God and I created this plan, I created all this as I'm going. For me to be mad at that is for me to be mad at myself. Pointless. I'm not going to do that. That right there was part of me. That was a huge part of me releasing things too. Like that was the big one. It was like, once I realized the oneness, and I really thought about it, I was like, oneness means no separation. That's not what I was taught. I was taught smite thee and thou who art goeth. So it's like it's a different world. I guess it's how you view things and how you see things and how you implement them into your life. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about that. It is a very different world. It's a very different kind of experience. It's a hard experience sometimes to explain to somebody who doesn't know about it. Certainly hard to explain to somebody who's still in a victim mindset, which is probably 80-90% of the population. And as a result, not only is it hard to explain, but once you actually get there for some period of time, it's hard to explain to yourself. Like, there's a difference. Like, you don't have to. It's not like somebody has to take a poll of you to find out. Oh, do you experience that difference in your life now, Walt? No. You know for sure. But trying to explain it, trying to describe it, that's where it gets a little bit tricky sometimes. So.
It's crazy. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing next week.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes about the law of attraction, and I know that I can't just go into it assuming everyone knows. I gotta start from scratch. That way, if someone's never even heard the words before, they can follow me through that whole, 10 minutes. So, but it's a pleasure, man. It's something I've been doing for a while, and I've been trying to perfect each and every chance I get, each and every person I listen to. Definitely a work in progress. I don't think me or anyone will ever have it all down pat. Everything, nah, because it's just too much. It's too much.
You probably are like me. You probably like me in that you try different things. Because I find myself doing that a lot. I try this, I try that, I modify, okay, do this a little bit differently. Try this different approach that I haven't tried before. Intermix it with what I did before, combine them. Where do they fit? Where do they don't fit? What can I describe that has nothing to do with anything woo-woo, but actually talks about the woo-woo without calling it woo-woo. All kinds of little things like that.
I came up with this plan every 5 minutes. I was like, first of all, I was like, how many affirmations, great ones, do I really want to key in on throughout the day? So I started to write them out. I started to find them all, copy and paste them from different documents, and because I was going to do one every 15 minutes and have them. I was going to do it. I was going to put it on a paper for every 15 minutes. So that, let's say I came to this page, I looked at the clock and it was 3:15, and I went to this page at 3:15 and I did 3:15's affirmation.
Got it. Okay. So
that's how I had it laid out. And I ended up putting so many that I was like going every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes. So this is actually it right here. The ones are highlighted.
Wow.
But this is every, like, right now it's 4:28. I hope it's not an embarrassing one. Oh, thank you, life. Is my 4:30. What I do is I see life in general as a being, and I'm just like, thank you, like yeah, it's nice right now, and it's just like a genuine thank you, and it's real humbling, and you feel something in you, and that right there, obviously manifests the future where I'm feeling that gracious again. So that was that. It's a really cool exercise, but you'd have to carry that paper with you. And depending on what time of day, you might get the same ones. I don't know. I'm trying to perfect it, but I definitely like having it here on my desk, because anytime I do see a clock or a time in this room, I go right to that paper, and I choose one. The big problem with that is the main ones I would need at this point in my life versus last week or 2 weeks ago or 10 months ago, the ones I need always change. And I might not be getting them every day. So that's the only bad part about this one. But in the spirit of getting better, it's a start, I'm always looking for that next mental exercise that's really going to hit home for me, format-wise, that I'm not going to get tired of. And after 2 days, I don't do it anymore. Like something like that.
It's funny that you're describing that, because what you're describing is a process that you've worked out in advance. You actually have like a script, sort of. You have a menu of things that you're going to follow. Oh, I'm going to do this at this time, and so on and so forth. And that's a great approach. I know for myself, I've never really liked pre-programmed stuff. I've tried to set it up, and I would give up on it instantly because it just didn't resonate at all. It didn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
So I work on, I think it's actually the harder way to do it, but it's the one that I like the best. And that is, I take my temperature, my vibrational temperature periodically throughout the day, and I ask myself, is this where I want to be? And often it's not. And if it's not, then I ask myself that $1,000 question. Okay, what are you willing to do in order to raise it? And that's the harder way to do it, because I don't have a pre-programmed answer to that. No. I don't have like a list of things written out. So I actually have to come up with something on the spot. And sometimes that's a real challenge. But you know what? There's also a nice flip side to it. By doing it that way, it's kind of like going to the gym. I'm exercising a muscle, right? And the more that I exercise it, I actually get better at it over time. I get better at just pulling something out of thin air that I didn't have 10 seconds before.
So you said, what is it you want right now, and what is it you're willing to do for it?
Or even just, where do you want to be right now vibrationally? If I don't necessarily have a particular want right now, what can I actually identify in terms of how I'm feeling? And if I'm not feeling where I want to be, what's it going to take to get me to that place?
What's it going to take?
Yeah.
Write that down.
And very often, I don't even want to answer the question. To be perfectly honest, I just don't no, I'm not going there. Forget that. But even just by asking myself the same question over and over again, I still keep coming back to it. And so finally, like it's like the ego says, okay, I give up. Come up with something. I'm done. I'm not going to keep fighting you on this. And then I come up with something and I get into a better space.
My number one practice right now that I'm really leaning on, and been leaning on for a couple of weeks now, heavily, is the repetition. But it's like, basically, when I do get that wake up, walking down the hallway towards the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
I get, you're not thinking about nothing. And then all of a sudden my body's like, wake up. And I'm like, ooh. I'm like, yeah, let me do a mental exercise. And so that's that wake up. And so try to manifest as many of those as you can. And so at that moment, what I do is I ask myself, what is it you would rather be thinking right now?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, from whatever scenario was just in my mind, in the perfect world, where would my head be at in pertaining to that scenario?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about, obviously, infinite money, power, and respect, I guess, because you could just do or be whatever, I mean, like you own your own island type stuff, which I will own my own island. I'm telling you that now. But
I believe you. I wouldn't doubt you, actually. You're one person I would definitely not doubt, but go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. What was I saying? You got me with that.
Well, you mean before you said I want to own my own island?
Yeah, what was I talking about before? You threw me because two things happened yesterday that just the first one, it was funny. My shaman, I fly with her husband, and we were going to fly yesterday, and she put me in a group chat, and I didn't respond because I don't want people knowing my number, you know what I mean? And we were laughing about it yesterday. I went to his house because we were going to go fly. And she came out. We were laughing about it. He was like, yo, babe, you can't be giving people his number. He's a celebrity now. You can't just give his number out like that. And it just got me, man. I was like, I was laughing. But I got that, that feeling like I just got right now. And it was beautiful. And then, like, literally on the way to go fly, I got the phone call that was saying, yo, you're in second place.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That push. And I was like, oh, that was 2 in a row. And then, like, you saying that was like, boom, let's go. Let's do this every day. Somebody.
And how appropriate. You're going to go flying and you get the news you're in second place. I mean, yeah, that's perfect.
Well, we didn't fly, unfortunately, but it was there.
But the intention was there.
Yeah, we went all the way out there and the clouds was looking crazy. And listen, I'm a when in doubt type of guy. When in doubt, I'm good. Not even gonna chance it, especially when I'm dangling from some strings.
Yeah.
So yeah. I was talking about something about the confidence, I think, in the look.
Well, while you're trying to pull that up, let me go to something else that I was dealing with and addressing this week, because. Like I was talking about before, I've been dealing with the software guy and he's making progress and so forth. And I realized that one of the things that was kind of happening is something that's been going on for quite some time. It's been going on for years, I think. It was one of the things that I had in mind when I signed up for the TIA boot camp last June. And that is, we often have a pretty good idea of what kind of blocks or resistance points we have. But there are some things we don't know what it is. And I've known for the longest time, there was this one really big thing. I have not been able to identify the source of it. I have not been able to identify any roots. One of the things that you do in TIA boot camp is you identify your top 3 transgressors, which are root transgressors that go back to when you're very, very young. And you can usually attach stuff to it and be like, oh, yeah, okay, that's actually influencing this thing that I did in my teens or this thing that I did yesterday or whatever. This unnamed one doesn't seem to attach to any of them. So literally it is an unnamed, we'll call it a resistance block or a transgressor that I've never been able to figure out what it was, never been able to figure out why it was there, but I could just feel that it was there. And in the boot camp, one of the things that they do is they give you a session with someone who teaches shadow work. And so I did my session with her. And she gave me some really cool ideas and so forth. And one of the things that came up in that was that I have this unknown block that I haven't been able to let go of. And she gave me some good ideas about that. Not a day later, I go into a boot camp meeting, and David starts talking about how, we can have these unnamed blocks that we can't identify what they are. And of course, here it is, law of attraction delivering it to me once more again.
Yeah, it is.
And so I start, and in boot camp, in these group meetings, they go around one by one, and you give like a little report on where you're at and how you're doing, what you're having trouble with, get some advice, all that kind of stuff. And so I reported that I had this meeting and that I've been looking at this thing. And as I was giving my report, I realized something. I realized that, yes, I can still feel that resistance block. Yes, it's still there. But you know what? It's breaking up. And I can't even tell you how I know that it's breaking up. It's just a feeling. But I can feel that it's breaking up.
Like a kidney stone.
Say again?
Like a kidney stone.
Yeah, okay. It's not exactly the association I wanted to have, but sure.
Just getting chipped away at for the better,
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's melting. Like it's just breaking up on its own.
I was just
cool.
One of my peoples is going through some stuff with kidney stones and may think of it.
Yeah, right. Well, anybody who's been through a kidney stone knows how painful they are. So when they go away, it is a big relief. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah, and chipping away at them is number one priority. All day, every day until it's gone. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can't think about anything else until it's gone.
Yeah, so you made me think of that.
Yeah. Ooh, chills. But anyway.
For the better.
How cool, though. The reason I'm bringing this up is we're talking about how you work on stuff. And you work on stuff in a lot of different ways over time, and you start shifting momentum around. And one of the unintended consequences of that, positive one, is that old resistance blocks that you could never identify what they were, they start to break up on their own. This thing could actually go away, and I could never find out what it was all about, and I'd be okay with that.
It makes sense.
I'd be totally okay with that. I mean, if making it something that I will never know is part of it going away, I'm on board, because I didn't want it in the first place.
Yeah. And especially like some kind of memory that you don't even want to remember. Yeah, no, I'm good.
That's so weird about it.
That would be weird, because how would you even know? I mean, if it left.
The only way that I can tell you that I know for sure is I have a sensation in my gut. And that sensation, it's a very physical sensation. And when this thing, whatever it is doing its thing, I feel it a lot.
Oh.
And when it's not doing its thing, I feel much more relaxed. And that's what I mean when I say that it's breaking up. The pain, it's not really a pain, it's a discomfort. The discomfort in my gut is happening a lot less, and it's happening for shorter periods of time. So that's how I know it's going away. I still don't know what the cause is, but I don't give a crap. Let it go. I'm done with it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I feel you, man. What's your time scale on that? Optimistically speaking, of course.
In terms of when it's going to go?
Don't say today.
In terms of when it's going to be gone? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, soon is all I care about. I mean, I've been carrying this thing for years, so,
Yeah.
Yesterday isn't soon enough.
Yeah. No, I got you.
But by the same token, the appreciation is where I think it makes a big difference, because when I appreciate whatever it was trying to tell me, that was the hardest thing for me to come to grips with. Appreciating something that I didn't know what it was. How do you appreciate something if you don't know what it is? I had to just do it generally, well, whatever message you're trying to tell me, thank you for the message. I'm sorry that I've not been able to really grasp the message that you're giving me. I can tell you're giving me one. I just not sure what it is. Sorry about that. But I really do appreciate you giving me the message. I mean, trying to go at it that way, because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I feel you. I like that. I wanted to take this moment to thank my fingers in life. Mm-hmm. You really taught me a lesson. You know, you get a cut on your finger, and for the next couple of days, you're like, you're careful, and it's annoying.
Oh yeah.
And you don't appreciate your finger being normal until it's cut. Mm-hmm. And that, it's not just an analogy. It happens so many times to me. That really gives me a greater appreciation, makes me appreciate things like that we wouldn't normally appreciate until it's gone or hurt or stuff like that. And that's a huge part of the attitude of gratitude. You're going to do attitude of gratitude, do it all the way. Don't just say thank you a bunch of times a day. Go deeper than that. Go as deep as you can, as many times as you can throughout the day. Why would you do less? If every second is contributing to your future, why would you do less? Boom.
That's beautiful. I like that. Really, really nice. Yeah. It's funny how we develop these things over time and we learn to appreciate things, which is it's a really good thing. Why don't we stick with it? I mean, we do. We kind of talk about these things in a black and white way, and they're not black and white. I mean,
yeah,
to a certain gray way, we do tend to come back to them. But why do we have so much trouble coming back to it?
I think as humans, we're always looking to grow. So if we stay stagnant in certain areas, we just feel like we gotta go bigger or more or better. And same thing with flavors. The flavor's delicious when you first have it, but then it fades away. You kind of get used to it. Flavor didn't go anywhere. I mean, it did a little bit because saliva and stuff, but you just got used to it. And just like your car was the bomb when you first got it, but now it's just another car. And your house was the bomb when you got it. We get used to it because it's the same thing, and the same equals stagnant.
Yeah.
And, there is no stagnant as long as there's time, because as time moves forward, if you're still there, you're now behind. So it's like, I think deep down in our subconscious that's embedded, and so it filters out through all of our thoughts.
Very good, yeah.
It really can be a curse, to some people.
I like the way you said
everybody
that.
At some point.
Well, yeah, because while we're living in this world of contrast, and stuff happens. We're dealing with it as it goes along. But I think you're right.
It's the dissection of the human psyche that leads you to, I'm not going to say permanent solutions, but solutions that'll autopilot throughout the day, like the ones I've implemented. They're pretty dang good, and I'm happy I got them, because I'm too lazy to do them myself. I need them to be I need them to be right where they are, and let's get better at them. Wake up more often. Wake up right now and just feel the room. And being present. I'm thankful to be here with you doing this.
That is a powerful thing. That's something that I realized also we don't talk about as much as we could. And I was noticing it in boot camp too. Boot camp is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff you get out of it. But it's an interesting kind of a paradox, because the name of it is TIA Boot Camp. TIA stands for Trust Your Abundance. And like most methodologies, like most modalities where we're trying to learn how to apply this thing and work on how to apply it to our own lives, we're focusing on all the stuff that was giving us trouble, and here's how it's helping us out, and so on and so forth. But we don't actually tend to spend a whole lot of time talking about the abundance part. Which is kind of odd when you think about it, especially since in that case it's actually in the title. But then it's not just TIA; it's all over the place. We want to get into this place of feeling good so that we can have the lives that we want, but we don't spend a lot of time talking about those lives. We don't spend a lot of time talking about what it would feel like to be in that place. You just mentioned, kind of in a tangential way, how you like to take a moment periodically throughout the day and get into that feeling mode. And that's wonderful. That's a good thing. But why don't we talk about what that feeling is actually about? What's it going to take for us to say, well, for me, that abundance feeling is when my software is done and it's actually out there and people are buying it up, and now all of a sudden this money's coming in, and now I've got a level of freedom I didn't have before, and I'm using that freedom to go travel more with my wife, and we're actually doing conferences, and we're actually building programs to help more and more people. I mean, that's the abundance side.
You know what's the depressing downside about every single thought you have? Is that at the end of the day, it's just a fairy tale. And it's going to lose to the current moment. You're coming back here. And I think that's part of it. A lot of people I know, a lot of people I talk to, and clients and stuff like that, they don't want to see that. I mean, I guess in the deep down inside they do, but for me to ask someone to envision themselves at a cruise, it's kind of like they don't want to do it. They'll fight you on it even. And because they know that at the end, they're going to be right back here. And they know that, secondly, the worst monster they've ever met, their ego is going to step up and say, no, you can't. What are the chances? Have you ever done that before? And so they're like, yo, if it's such a negative place, I'm not even going to go there. You know, and that, I think that's why people don't want to live in that space. But if that's the case, which it is, the ego's going to do what it do. Find a way around it. You know, find different ways to play make-believe. And if you have to force it, force it. And by force it, I mean, if you're going to picture yourself in the Bahamas and the ego kicks in and says, what if, you kick it to a side, shoo it away like a child's antics. Not like a heavyweight boxer.
Mm-hmm.
Shoo it away like a dog that's just barking while you're trying to watch the football game. And then move back to your scenario. Get back to it. And that's the key part. And then stay there. Live there. You got to trick the ego. Ask yourself questions. How would it feel to be in the Bahamas? How would it feel to be in the Bahamas with unlimited money? Your brain's going to answer that question. The ego's going to shut up and let it get answered. Now you've just felt good and watered the seed of being in the Bahamas with unlimited money, you know, but it's going to take more than one time doing it. Obviously, to whom much is given, much is tested, but it's definitely a foundational piece how I do it. That's how I've been doing everything.
I love that. Interesting too that you mentioned the Bahamas in the Caribbean, because Neville Goddard, who talked about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, his family came from Barbados.
Nice.
And actually, his remains are buried on Barbados. And
feeling is the secret, right?
Feeling is the secret. That's one of his books, right?
Yeah. You're talking about him. I had a list of 5 books that I want to get through. I got through the first 3. The Science of Getting Rich, The Power of Your Subconscious, and Just Ask the Universe. And I got Neville Goddard, Feeling is the Secret, and Ask and is Given by Esther.
Abraham Hicks. Yeah.
So that's my list. So that's right. That's the next right there.
But Neville really had it. I mean, he simplified it down to just one thing: create a little scene in your mind about what the end result is once you finally get the thing that you're looking for. What does that feel like? What is the experience like? And he made, I don't remember if it was in Feeling is the Secret or one of his other books, but he made the illusion of the difference between seeing yourself climbing a ladder and seeing yourself actually walking up to the ladder and walking up the rungs of the ladder with your hands up the side of the ladder. It's two different ways of feeling it. One's more of a distant feeling. The other one's a hands-on, I'm in the middle of it kind of feeling. And he was only teaching just try to get into the feeling of the end result. Of course, the real challenge is trying to get ourselves into the regular place of not just experiencing the end result, but experiencing all of it, the continuous ongoing experience.
That's the key. If I want to go to the Bahamas, I picture myself sitting on the elevator, waiting, walking down the hallway. I'm picturing as many different ins and outs of what's going to happen as I can. And it seems to draw me there faster.
Right.
Mind you, I've never been to the Bahamas. COVID kind of messed all that up. My first dental convention was actually, like I said, it's always done on cruises. It's called Smiles at Sea. It was supposed to be at the Bahamas, but COVID came and shook stuff up the way only COVID could have done.
It was very good at it. But does that stop you from going back and revisiting that feeling?
Heck no, man. That is just awesome. Any chance I get. What stops me is all this chatter. You know? And even though the chatter, you know, and my chatter is good. I've got a program I'm in a good place, but it's still chatter. It's still taking me away from envisioning myself winning this belt next week. You know, the chatter. You know, so it's like, even if it's not bad, it's still, I still could be putting my eggs in, you know, like I always say, drops of water in different flower pots. I'm still putting my drops of water in flower pots that I should be putting them in a different flower pot. But it was meant to happen the way it happened. All I can do is learn, go forward, and spend.
And we're all doing the best we can at any given time.
Spend my next moments.
Yeah.
Whatever headspace I want to be in.
I do know that the more time that I spend trying to imagine that end result, trying to put myself feeling wise, and I don't always get there, but that doesn't stop me from trying the next time. I still try to do it the next time and the next. The more that I do that, an interesting thing happens. The more I build out the scene. Have you experienced that? Like the first time I created a scene in my mind, and it's a really short scene, lasts about 5 seconds, which is what Neville taught. It has to be just a very short thing. And he taught it, just play it over and over again. But I find myself, I don't know, I think it's because I have a doer's mind, right? I'm constantly expanding and looking at different stuff and coming up with new things and new ideas. So it's not enough for me to come up with that final scene. I have to start building that scene out, both in the reverse direction where it came from and also the forward direction where it's going to.
I want to task you with something.
Okay.
If you haven't already done it, because you probably have, right? You definitely have. But dialogue, the conversations that are had, have those conversations. Have those conversations.
I like that.
Remember, these are best case scenario conversations. This is you handing the wife $1 million, like, yo, happy birthday.
This is the dream. This is the big dream.
Don't have the dialogue. Honey, I got a surprise for you. Give her the envelope. Whatever the situation. Go through be there. Be there. That's how you really water them seeds. Be there. So adding dialogue is huge. For one, up here, you want to put a 10x on that, get yourself a quiet spot, say it out loud. Let me tell you something, saying stuff out loud, it's a game changer. It's an amplifier. It's a beast.
Why do you think it is so much more powerful? Why is it such an amplifier to say it out loud?
I think when you're saying it, you're blocking out a lot of the voices that could be behind other voices. Where you're just thinking it and the ego's trying to kick in, and then your subconscious is, you got all these things come fighting each other. Whereas when you say it, you're like shutting all that down or most of it down, and you're just out with it. But I can't help but feel that there's something else. There's something else in that process that just rocks it home for you.
I think there is something else, and you're right. I would have trouble answering my own question. What makes the difference? I'm not really sure, but there's a difference. There is definitely a difference when you say it out loud. It's almost like you're making it more real for yourself when you say it out loud. Like you believe it better because you said it rather than just thought it. Thought it, it's easier to dismiss the thought. Saying it, well, that took some time. That took some energy to do that.
How about this? That when you say it out loud, it kind of feels like the first time you say it out loud, it kind of feels like the first official time that this idea is making it into the physical realm. And that's a huge step. I think it might have something to do with that. And every time you say it out loud, you feel like you're contributing because it's getting, the seed is getting water. You're thinking about it a lot in your mind, and it's still on the imaginary side, the side you don't want it to be on. You want it to be on the physical side of things. So every contribution you can to put it into the physical side, even starting with just your voice, I think that might be it. I think that might be the strong, because that's energy. You're literally teleporting from just a dream to its first form of physicality, which is, the voice, the passion. And then you just keep saying it. And then it's just like there.
I think there's another piece too that you just cued in my mind by saying what you just said, because I love what you just said. The second piece that I'm thinking of is when you speak it, there's a phrase, you speak it into reality, right? And that speaking it into reality, I think what it helps to do is actually fill in the gaps of that image you were trying to create in that end scene. Because we are humans who work with a brain that doesn't actually create full detailed images. It creates constructed images, it has little pieces of image that are what we associate with whatever that image is. But the more detail that we fill in, the more real the image becomes. And I suspect that's what the process you're describing, that talking it into existence, does. It fills in the details. It makes the details stand out more. It gives more detail. It gives a better sense of reality to the thing. Because you also mentioned something else interesting. You mentioned how we do tend to doubt that the thing is going to come because it hasn't actually come yet. So we kind of get all caught up in that realm. Funny thing happens over time, though. The more that you do these exercises, the less important that end result is in terms of whether it's shown up yet. Early on, it feels like you're just lying to yourself. After a while, it becomes more like a game of, I'm just going to see if I can imagine this thing. I don't really care whether it's showing up yet. Can I imagine it now?
Yeah. Can I win this mental battle?
Yeah.
But you know what? And it's the pride in that win that drives me. If you're not really that interested in working on self because you got a big project at work and such is happening at home, you might not feel it as much. But I encourage everybody to get to that point where they're like, it makes you feel good to win these little mental battles, these little mental struggles where the ego steps in and you guys have your little clash and you come out on top. Those enough of those produce a better life regardless of what toys you get.
That's right.
Because
I agree with that completely.
You're just happier.
Yeah.
And so go get that. That's free. You don't gotta go on a bus, you don't gotta catch a plane and do nothing. That's free. Go get that right up in here.
And that builds the momentum, by the way. That momentum we were talking about, that shift toward the direction that we want the stuff to go, that builds that momentum to the point where it actually becomes easier to fill in those details. The details come easier. And as they become easier, it's almost like you feel like you just took a step closer and you can't say why. Or it just took a step closer to you, whichever way you want to look at it. But it just got closer and it just got more real.
Yeah, it just got more real. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is what happens. The more you focus on this stuff, the more that stuff gets real. It feels more real.
It's because we're giving it our energy, man. We're giving it real energy. And then it's like fading into picture.
I was experiencing that with the software project because I was one of the things that I always have gotten myself kind of tied up in knots about in the past with any kind of adventure is when it gets to the point where the venture starts to reach the launch date or whatever is the reality date for you. And the big fear is, well, I have a launch date, nothing really happens. Mm-hmm. Another way to look at the same situation is the big dream. Well, what if it actually comes out bigger than what you want?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I found was happening with the software dream just in the last day or two. All of a sudden, it's almost like that ego mind was doing what you were talking about earlier. It was convincing me that it was going to be a bigger launch than I thought.
Nice.
That's pretty cool when that happens.
and for me, what's worked the best for me, and I totally forgot about this for a while. I'm so glad you said it because I might be needing it coming up in the next couple of days. Surprisingly, I haven't. That's dope. I like that. But what if it did? Because it's so consistent in the days leading up to the launch date that you're going to get that little and you just hit it with that. But what if it did? What if it did? But what if it catch it right in its tracks? But what if it did? Yeah. And then your mind, once again, is going to answer that question.
That's right.
Well, if it did, then blah, 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 blah. Now, next thing you know, you're smiling, feeling all good up in here. And that's what you want. That's what you want.
That's where the beauty happens. That's where the great stuff happens.
And yet, you know what? That's just the feeling part of it. That's just living happy in the days up until, as opposed to being stressed. Then the results come.
Not surprisingly, because you just got the stress and the resistance out of the way.
It's a win-win-win. We gotta get the rest of the world on this wall. We gotta do this quick. I can't see how some people just not getting it. But we about to.
They're gonna get. They're gonna. The ones who are ready for it are gonna find us. Mm-hmm. That already happens. That happens with your summit. People show up just because they need to show up, and they can't even tell you why necessarily. They just know that they needed to. Well, it's because you're living the life. You're living the dream. You live that dream, they're going to find you.
I think the revolution or whatever you want to call it, where everybody transitions to, you know what? I think it's just better if I try to be positive about things. I think the revolution of the world, I think that's coming, man. I think that's coming.
I think it's already happening.
Oh no, it's definitely already happening. But I mean the switch over to where it's noticeable. In policies and rules and regulations, and like when the world literally just changed. I think that's coming way faster than a lot of people think. I'm ready for it. I'm prepared for it for a while.
Well, thank you for helping to discuss Endgame. That's what I'm calling this part. Thanks for taking us through Endgame. That's really been great. I really appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you give to this too, because you give a lot.
Just trying one day at a time, man.
Yeah, one day at a time. That's what we do. So thank you much. Thank you, live streamers. Thank you, especially to podcast listeners everywhere around the world. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.